Aussie Bonsai bloke, get going. Good day guys. Today, before we get started, we've got a little bit on. Just want to say, caught the good old coronavirus, me and the family, and we're doing okay. We had our worst day yesterday, but you know, so getting over it okay. And I was a little bit concerned because I hadn't bothered getting vaccinated. Didn't think it was necessary, and well, turns out it wasn't too bad. Survived it okay, even though yesterday was a bit rough. But the family's doing a lot better now, doing okay. Anyway, so we got our book from Murray and Jerome. Pretty exciting. So Murray and Jerome have published their own bonsai book from Bonsai Supply, and it's pretty cool. So, you know, they were nice enough to send me one to see what I thought. Pretty cool book. I think Nigel Saunders got one also, and really happy with it. I had a bit of a look through it, and you know, I won't go page for page, but it's just set out really well. Talks, you know, about the introductions and myths of bonsai. Has a couple of really nice photos, or lots of nice photos in here. You know, popular misconceptions, the origin of bonsai, tools. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, otherwise, you know, you guys got to go out there and buy a book. But, you know, just to show you guys a bit of an overview, how to get your pots ready, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. They also have some pretty cool highlighted little fun facts about bonsai throughout, and it's really cool. It's, you know, there's a fun fact in there that says, you know, the dearest bonsai snips that are made in Japan, $35,000 for a pair. So that's a pretty cool fact. But anyway, there's lots of fun facts like that, like the most expensive bonsai and the smallest and biggest and all that stuff. And it's really cool. So they've done a great job with their book, set it out really well. It's got everything from getting a tree to choosing your tree for an easier to grow tree for different climates, broadleaf, deciduous, evergreen, everything all in this one book that you'd ever need. Also tells you how to set up an automatic watering system, so it really gets in depth. But it also, I must say, is an extremely well set out book that makes it quite easy, an easy approach to the beginner to understand the art form and how to make a bonsai. And it also has a lot in the book which will go anywhere up to your intermediate to experienced. We'll still get something out of it, you know, how to choose different pots for different shaped trees and all that sort of stuff. So great book by Murray and Jerome, and really cool. So super cool book, well finished, beautiful, lots of pages. What have we got here? 158 pages. So, you know, there you go. There's the two lovebirds there in the back. But, you know, 158 pages, just pure quality. Bloody beautiful. So, yeah, I had a good read of that during COVID. You guys go and get your own book, and, you know, it's well worth the read. Put it in your bonsai book selection. It's well worthy of being in there. So anyway, so that's the book. Cheers guys for the book. Really happy with that. Oh, I thought I'd give you guys a bit of a spin of this crepe myrtle. It's getting into autumn colours now, so we'll give it a spin. There's the autumn, getting the autumn colours of the crepe myrtle now, so that's doing pretty well. There's the red colours, look at that. Pretty cool. There's the book. So yeah, autumn colours on that, sweet. Trunk's pretty nice too. Okay guys, so here's the olive, Lawries olive. If you remember back a long time ago, me and Lawrie did a collection video 2.5 years ago maybe. He collected this one. He came back last year and did a video carving it out. We did a carving video when he came and dropped off some plants and stuff for me about a year ago. And back then we decided we would leave this one branch here grow, this massive branch here grow, to fatten up the base of the branch because we decided it was too thin. Well, I think we've gone the opposite way now. Partly my fault because I've been the, caregiver to this tree while Lawries overseas in Canada. And while I've been looking after it, you think I've gone in there and done any work on it? No, I just left it, and now this branch is almost too fat. Almost too fat. But we're going to leave it. We're not going to chop it off. Well, we will chop it off, but we won't chop the whole thing off. So basically what we're going to do now is get in here and just clean up some stuff so we can see what's going on for starters. So down the bottom here there's some little shoots coming from the base, which is what olives do when you for the first few years until they sort of settle into a routine. They do throw off a lot of these little shoots at the base. But then when they've been a bonsai for a while, the olive starts to settle down, stops putting out so many shoots from the base, and becomes quite a nice cruisy bonsai where you don't really have to do a lot of work on them apart from just a yearly pruning, really, to be honest. A yearly pruning on an olive once they've developed is probably enough. But anyway, we're not up to that stage with this tree yet. This tree's still throwing out a lot of shoots. It's got some beautiful moss here. I'll show you the two different types of moss too. This is really bright green, beautiful moss on this side. And this one here is more of a sphagnum moss. It doesn't really stay green all the time. So there are different types of moss. If you don't have a moss that you like, it's brown all the time, it's too thick or something, just go and try and have a look for another moss because there's lots of different mosses around. Anyway, now it looks like I still left a heap of wire on this tree as well, which I haven't got off. So I should have probably kept an eye on that, but it doesn't seem to have bitten in too much. I've got my feelings as to why. I reckon this branch here has been allowed to power on so much to fatten up that one base here that I reckon the rest of the tree hasn't really grown much while that other one's been going so strong. And the tree's basically let all of its energy go into that one branch and not really grown elsewhere too much. A little bit, but not too much. Right, so that's that bit of wire off. Looks like that was the only bit of wire. Oh no, there's a bit up the top here. So we'll pull that one off too, get rid of that wire. Now you can either unwind your wire or you can cut it off. Generally I find unwinding is okay if it hasn't bitten in too much. When it starts to bite in, you're better off trying to get in there and cut the wire, because by unwinding it you can actually ring bark the tree if you're not careful. So there's a spot here where it is really caught up in here and really grown in tight. So I'm going to chop that so we hopefully don't risk ring bark in the tree. Right, and then we're just going to chop the rest of the wire off here. Just chopping off a dead stubber. Now, so we can bring you guys in closer to the tree, what I'll do is I just want to cut a bit of stuff back here quickly so we can bring us in closer, and then we'll get into the more refined work, I guess you could say, in a second. So we're just cutting off a bit shorter there. Now, we got these ratchet pruners from Ironwood Tools, which Tom sent me. So Tom from Grow and Clip Bonsai for Seniors, cheers mate. We're going to get him into action. Let's see how it goes with this big fat olive branch. So where do we cut that back to? Well, I guess this side on your front as well. I think the front, judging by the lean of the tree, I would say the front's over that way. Looks like we've got some wire here too. I'm going to have to get rid of that. Didn't realise we had so much wire on here, but guess we did. I'll just get rid of this wire. Okay guys, so where do we want to cut this back to? Well, I think if you cut it back to there, right, let's try these pruners out. Wow, look at that. These bloody pruners, ratchet pruners. I think what they do is they can cut straight through something, but if there's something hard, they detect the pressure and they have to have a couple of goes in it. So it takes 3 goes to cut that. Right, if we cut it to there, I think a big fat branch right out there is just too much. I think we've got to cut it right back to here and use this little guy here. There's the new one. So let's do that. That one took 4 goes. Beautiful clean cut. Right, so that's the big cut done. Could probably get in there and clean it up a bit, although I don't really know. Sort of, you know, where we're going to end up with it. Probably, hopefully, either that'll become the whole main one or it'll shoot out this side and we can develop it like that. Not sure, but I do think that's the front there. Definitely, so that's the front. So that branch is gone. Now it's going to have to grow out again, probably let it grow out to here again to let it develop and strengthen up again. And then that's that branch. Right, so what else do we got to do? I think we got to bring the whole tree back a bit. It just looks really spread out with some quite long branches, not doing a lot. So I actually think we're going to have to cut this back pretty hard. So this is probably a good demonstration of how hard you have to cut trees back at the start. As in, when they're really young, you cut them back really hard and develop all the branches from the inside and then build them slowly to the outside. What's happened here is a lot of the stuff's sort of been allowed to grow, like this one here. I'll chop this one off, this is an ugly one. Okay, so it's been allowed to grow once I strip the leaves off a long way out, and then it's got divisions. It should really have divisions all the way in. So I think what we'll do, bring it in close for starters. So you can see that beautiful green moss, absolutely stunning. So I think the whole tree has to come in a long way and then be grown out again. So you sort of let the tree grow out, cut it back, let it grow out, cut it back, let it grow out again, a bit like you would on a deciduous. So some of these other branches, I'm just going to cut them back pretty hard. Really, there's a branch that's not needed. And really try to develop good branching in close to begin with. I could have easily wired everything out and tried to make it look nice, wire that down and around or up, bend it all around and try and make it look nice. As an actual tree, it would probably look not bad, but I don't think that's going to help the tree in the long run. In the long run, let's get rid of this one as well. In the long run, this thing needs to develop from the inside to the outside rather than everything being on the outside. It's a little bit messy how it is at the moment. So let's go back to the front. Now, do we need that little branch there? Probably not. I think that's grown since its last styling. We've got a funny looking branch here coming from inside the bend of that curve. Let's get rid of that one. I don't like him. Basically anything you don't like, just chop off. I think in the long run this tree will benefit a lot from today's work, but it's just hard to do this, especially when it's your own tree. I'm lucky here as in it's not my tree, this is Lawries' tree. So sorry Lawrie. Sorry for giving it a good hack, but in the long run you might thank me. So if you stay in Canada long enough before you come back to see this tree, hopefully by then it'll be starting to look like something. But I hope you agree. We've taken some pretty weird looking branches off here. I could have left some more on, but no, I want to restart this whole tree back to its bare bones. Want to be harsh. I mean, to be honest, when we carved this tree, I can't remember, I probably helped him style this tree like this. Probably because when you're in person, it's very hard to tell someone to chop their tree back to nothing, because, you know, you feel like you've wrecked your tree. And I was probably like, oh yeah, you could leave that branch, you know, so it's probably my fault that it got so long and leggy and grown out, but there you go. Pretty happy with how that looks. What do you reckon? Now, cut it back pretty hard, but the structure's there, you know. It's got pretty good structure. Nice big solid branches there. A nice solid one out the back, which was cut at a different time because it must have got fat enough. Couple of good branches there. I think it's ready to just grow out again. I could probably shorten the top here. You know, a lot of these big cuts do have to be made. It does improve the structure in the long run. I may even just shorten this one back a slight bit more. I do like that branch being there. That one there, I think we'll leave it. I think we'll leave two from there. Yeah, it can be hard to make those decisions, but you'll find too, the longer you do bonsai and the more bonsai you have, it gets so much easier to make those big cuts, because by the time I come around to this tree again, you won't even know that I've made those massive cuts. We'll have that much growth back on it again, and then we'll cut it back again. Plus, if you have lots of trees, you got so many to work on that they seem to develop really quick without ever looking at it and then going, oh crap. If you only had the one tree and you cut it back like that, it would seem like a lifetime before this tree would grow again and you can work on it. You'd be like, oh man, what have I done? It looks so much worse. And you would sit there and procrastinate on the one tree and how you've wrecked it. But when you've got lots of trees, by the time you think that you've wrecked it and cut it back too hard, it's already regrown because you've been working on other trees so long that you almost don't get around to this tree, cut it back again, and all of a sudden it really does start to come into its own and look really cool. So definitely do the hard cuts to start with, and then you get better and better branch structure, and it will turn a mediocre or a good tree into a great tree in years to come. So this extra few years of early development makes massive difference in the long run. And in 15 years, or 10 years probably, this will be a way better tree by doing the hard cuts than a bit like sliding doors. If I just wired it out and shaped it how it was today out here, look better for now, and in 5 years it might still look better, but 10 years this one here will come into its own with better branch structure. Be a lot better. Anyway, no worries guys. Cheers for watching Aussie Bonsai Bloke. Thanks Murray and Jerome for that book. Awesome. You guys done a great, fantastic job. Looks absolutely awesome. Finished working on this tree today, Lawries tree. Hopefully I'll be back into my own soon after we got rid of this COVID crap. But, you know, if you're out there and you're worried about COVID, don't be. It's not too bad. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. You know, we got a pretty ugly looking tree here. I'll give you guys a spin. But don't worry, lots of potential. Laurie done a great job with the carving that day too. Beautiful tree. Cheers guys, and thanks again.